The shadows danced across the limestone walls of the temple as the last rays of sunlight filtered through the narrow windows. In the sacred chamber of Isis, deep within the ancient complex of Philae, a woman knelt before an obsidian altar, her fingers tracing the hieroglyphs that had been forbidden to speak for centuries. The air was thick with frankincense and myrrh, but something else lingered, a presence that whispered of secrets older than the pyramids themselves. Nephthys had been chosen, though she did not yet understand why. The high priestess had spoken to her in riddles 3 moons ago. The goddess calls to those who can hear beyond the veil. Are you prepared to lose everything you believe you know? The words echoed in her mind as she pressed her palm against the cold stone, feeling the ancient power pulsing beneath her touch. You have come, a voice spoke from the shadows. An elderly woman emerged, her white linen robe seeming to glow in the dim light. This was Isidora, keeper of the inner mysteries, guardian of the texts that the priests claimed were too dangerous for mortal eyes. The time of revealing has arrived, child. But first, you must understand what you are about to witness will change not only your understanding of the divine feminine, but of creation itself. Nephthys rose slowly, her heart pounding. I am ready, mother. I have prepared through fasting and meditation as you instructed. Isidora's eyes, ancient and knowing, studied her carefully. Preparation of the body is nothing compared to what your spirit must endure. Follow me. They descended stone steps that seemed to go deeper than the temple foundations should allow. The walls here were different, covered in symbols that predated the current dynasty, symbols that seemed to shift and breathe in the flickering torchlight. Nephthys felt as though she were walking backward through time itself. Tell me, Isidora said as they walked, what do you know of Isis? She is the Great Mother, the goddess of magic and healing, wife to Osiris, mother to Horus. She who gathered the scattered pieces of her beloved and brought him back to life. Yes, that is what the priests teach. But that story, beautiful as it is but a shadow of a greater truth. What if I told you that Isis was not merely a goddess of our pantheon, but a memory, a living memory of something that existed before the gods themselves? They entered a circular chamber, lit by oil lamps arranged in perfect geometric patterns. At the center stood a pedestal holding a papyrus scroll, its edges golden with age. But it was not the scroll that took Nephthys's breath away. It was the mural that covered the entire dome above them. There, painted in colors that seemed to emit their own light, was a woman of such beauty and power that Nephthys felt her knees weaken. She was not depicted in the typical Egyptian style, but in a way that transcended all earthly representation. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight, her eyes held the depth of eternity, and from her hands flowed streams of light that became the very fabric of reality. Behold, Isidora whispered, the true face of the First Mother, she who was before all naming, before all separation. The one your people call Isis is but one mask she wore to walk among us. Nephthys stared upward, transfixed. I can feel her presence. It's as if she's looking directly at me. She is. She's been calling to you since your birth, child. You carry within you a fragment of her original light, as do all women, though most have forgotten. Isidora moved to the pedestal and gestured to the scroll. This is the Book of Isis, written in her own hand before she chose to fragment herself to seed the world with the divine feminine. It contains the true story of creation, of the fall, and of the coming restoration. As if drawn by invisible threads, Nephthys approached the scroll. The moment her fingers touched the papyrus, visions flooded her mind. She saw the cosmos as it was in the beginning, not dark and void, but filled with the presence of the First Mother. She witnessed the great sacrifice, how the Mother chose to pour herself into creation, becoming the soul of every living thing, the spark of consciousness in every being. She gave up her wholeness, Nephthys gasped, tears streaming down her face. She scattered herself across all of existence so that we might know love, so that we might have the capacity to choose, to grow, to return to her. Yes, Isadora confirmed, her voice heavy with ancient sorrow. And in doing so, she created the possibility for both great beauty and great suffering. But she also left us a way back, a path of remembrance hidden in the hearts of her daughters. The visions continued to flow. Nephthys saw civilizations rise and fall, saw the memory of the first mother fade as patriarchal religions rose to power. She witnessed the burning of libraries, the silencing of priestesses, the systematic erasure of the feminine divine from human consciousness. But why? Nephthys cried out. Why was this truth hidden? Why were we made to forget? Isadora's expression grew grave. Because, dear child, there are those who feared what would happen if humanity remembered its true nature. If people knew that the divine feminine was not subordinate to the masculine, but rather the very source from which all things emerged, it would shatter the foundations of control they had built. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our content. And tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to know. Suddenly, the chamber began to tremble. The oil lamps flickered, and shadows seemed to reach toward them with grasping fingers. "They know," Isadora whispered urgently. "The guardians of the old order sense what you are learning. They will try to stop you." Figures began to materialize from the shadows, tall, imposing beings with the heads of hawks and serpents, their eyes burning with cold fire. These were the Watchers, the entities who had been tasked with keeping the deepest mysteries hidden from human understanding. "You go too far," one of them spoke, its voice like grinding stone. "This knowledge is not for mortal minds. It will bring only chaos and destruction." But Nephthys felt something awakening within her, a power she had never known she possessed. The light of the First Mother was stirring in her blood, responding to the threat. "No," she said, her voice growing stronger. "This knowledge belongs to all of us. It is our birthright." She placed both hands on the scroll and felt its contents burn into her consciousness. The Watchers lunged forward, but they could not touch her. The light emanating from her being formed a protective barrier. In that moment, she understood the full scope of what had been hidden. The First Mother had not disappeared. She had been waiting, gathering her scattered essence through the experiences of every soul that had ever lived. Every act of love, every moment of compassion, every choice to create rather than destroy was adding to her reconstruction. And now, the time of reunion was approaching. "I see it all now," Nephthys gasped as the visions reached their climax. "The prophecy hidden in the stars, the return of the age of the Mother, it has already begun." The Watchers recoiled, their forms beginning to dissolve. "You have doomed them all," one hissed as it faded. "They are not ready for such power." But Isadora smiled, her aged face radiant with joy. "They are more ready than you know. The daughters of Isis have been awakening across the world, remembering their true nature. The time of forgetting is ending." As the last of the Watchers vanished, the chamber fell silent. Nephthys found herself changed utterly. She could feel the presence of the First Mother, not just around her, but within her, as if she had suddenly remembered a part of herself that had been sleeping. "What happens now?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Now you must choose," Isadora replied. "You can return to your life as it was, keeping this knowledge locked within your heart. Or you can become what you were always meant to be, a bridge between the old world and the new, a herald of the great remembering." Nephthys looked up at the mural one last time, and the painted eyes of the First Mother seemed to wink at her. In that moment, she understood that this was not just about her. It was about every woman who had ever felt the stirring of something ancient and powerful within her soul, every man who had glimpsed the sacred feminine and known it to be the source of all life. "I choose to remember," she whispered. "I choose to awaken." The scroll in her hands began to glow, and she felt its words imprinting themselves not just on her mind, but on her very essence. She would carry this knowledge forward, not as a burden, but as a gift to be shared when the time was right. Years later, when she had become a teacher herself, Nephthys would often reflect on that night in the temple. She had hidden copies of the forbidden text in places where future generations might find them, embedded the teachings in stories and songs that would survive the coming dark ages. She knew that the truth could not be destroyed, it could only be forgotten, and what was forgotten could always be remembered again. The divine feminine was not a concept to be debated or a symbol to be worshipped. It was a living reality, the very ground of being itself. And as more souls awakened to this truth, the fractured pieces of the First Mother would continue to come together, preparing for the day when creation would remember its source and consciously choose to participate in the great healing. On her deathbed, Nephthys smiled as she felt the presence of the First Mother drawing near. "I have kept the flame alive," she whispered. "Others will carry it forward." Ours. And in the silence that followed, those who had ears to hear could almost make out the sound of the cosmos itself, whispering back, "Well done, my daughter, well done." And if you like this story, you will definitely love the next one that's appearing on your screen. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and activate the notifications. See you in the next one.